now. I ain't gonna fall back down now. Alright, I'm take it on me, baby. Alright, I ever ask, are you gonna be my lover tonight? I take it with me. What if I left and it made no sense? And you tell your friends and they hold your hands, baby, never mind. What if I left and it made no sense? And you tell your friends and they hold your hands, baby, never mind. What if I left and it made no sense? And you tell your friends and they hold your hands, baby, never mind. What if I left and it made no sense? And you tell your friends and they hold your hands, baby, never mind. Alright, I'm ready now. I ain't gonna stop right now. Alright, I take it on me, you baby. Alright, I ever ask, do you wanna see my fire tonight? Take it with me. What if I left and it made no sense? And you tell your friends and they hold your hands, baby, never mind. What if I left and it made no sense? And you tell your friends and they hold your hands, baby, never mind. What if I left and it made no sense? And you tell your friends and they hold your hands, baby, never mind. What if I left and it made no sense? And you tell your friends and they hold your hands, baby, never mind. What if I left and it made no sense? And you tell your friends and they hold your hands, baby, never mind. What if I left and it made no sense? And you tell your friends and they hold your hands, baby, never mind.
There's a space in my heart when it all comes crashing down. Anytime I hear your name out in public, there's a place that I go every time that you're in town. It's just me in my nights, in my stomach. And it's true, it wasn't easy getting over you, but that's just what I had to do. Whatever, we were never good together. I'll be here and you say that. Truth is I never cared. Whatever, 2 years that ain't forever. I'll be here and you say that. Won't see me cry no tears. 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 Never mind, feels like you were never mine. Go lose myself in the arms of a stranger. And yeah, it sucks sometimes in love. You try your best, but it doesn't work out, and it don't matter either way. Yeah. Oh yeah. Whatever, we were never good together. I'll be here and you say that. Truth is I never cared. Whatever, 2 years that ain't forever. I'll be here and you say that. Won't see me cry no tears.
Hello, hello, my friends. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh my goodness. Old friends, new friends, all friends alike. Welcome in. How are we doing? How's everybody? How's life? Hope everything is going well for you. Hope your journey, your path in life is taking you exactly where it needs to in the current moment. And if you're here live, or if you're here watching this on the replay, you're most likely in the right spot. I'm just saying, I might be a little biased in this situation, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like our paths have joined for a reason. Welcome, 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 welcome. How are you guys doing? How is everybody? It's good to see you guys. I didn't get to see you very much last week. And then the weeks before that I was sick, so we took a little break. But we're here. We made it. I literally had a meeting not long before this one. If you guys don't know, I am preparing an interstate move. That is inter, not inner, moving out of state. So it's a whole thing, which includes selling my home, finding and buying a new home, and it is a whole journey on its own. So that's fun. Don't get me wrong, it's it's ups and downs, but there's a lot of ups and there's a lot of benefits. I'm really excited. We're gonna be in a better area. Oh my gosh, Lisa, thank you to load 46
wow,
months.
46.
Holy moly, welcome one and all. As he's sitting next to me. Anyway, thank you very much. Appreciate your resub. 46 months is crazy. It's crazy to think about how long we've been here. Anyway, but yeah, so life's crazy. Life is crazy between all the meetings between lenders and the different real estate agents and all of the parts in between. There's lots of moving parts, but we're working on it and it's all good. Yeah, but what's up in your guys' world? I hope you're doing well. I hope you're taking good care of yourself. If you're not, then maybe this is your little sign to recalibrate and focus on yourself for a little bit. We're going to jump into the contents of stream here in a minute, but before I do that, I want to say hi. Hello. Oh my goodness, it's good to see you guys in chat. Hello, how are you doing? Oh my goodness. Simon, how's life? How are you feeling? It's so good to see you. Simon popped in here before stream was even officially live. Like craziness, actually crazy. So good to see you. And my John, how are you doing? It has been a hot minute. I've missed you the last couple of streams too. I mean, I've been sick for how many, of course, so it's not that, but like I missed seeing you. I missed seeing you a little bit ago. It's great to have you back. How have you been? How's life? Have you been catching any thriller movies? Give us the lowdown. Roxy's in the, oh, I thought she was gonna do something cute. I was gonna say Roxy's front and center for us. It's good to see you, John. Oh my goodness. Andrew, how have you been? How's life? I know when you popped in, I saw your mod thing, and not I didn't obviously do anything, but I was like, I thought and was like, oh, I didn't even realize that was there or still there. I thought you had like unmodded yourself or something. I couldn't remember. I just know it's been a long time. I mean, you got the perks. Or it can turn into a VIP, whatever you want. It's so good to have you here. How the heck have you been? How's life? It's good to see you. Oh my goodness. I'm just scrolling chat to see everybody and catch up with you guys. My goodness, I've missed you. Okay, I'm pretty much caught up. Now we're back to the resubs and all the good stuff. And in YouTube chat, just so you guys know, ASMR is a closed chapter. If you'd like to read the latest post on the YouTube channel, that'll probably give you the most insight. But that chapter of my creative life is over, and we have shifted to lifestyle content. Yes, indeed. We are working currently on our canning series. Yes, indeed. I'm very excited for that. It's good stuff. Goes at the movies last stream. Seeing. Ooh, how is Ready or Not? Oh my goodness. How was that? That one looks really good to me. John is our in-house horror buff. If you guys don't already know, now you know. Real estate law firm. Oh my goodness. How fun is that? I bet being in that in that position, you get so much experience and so much exposure. A real estate law firm, being a receptionist there, I bet you get so many things. Oh my gosh. It's a process though. Holy cow. Just selling a home is a process. Just buying a home is a process. Just moving to another state is a process. Like, it's too much. It's too much. Oh my gosh. Oh. The siesta. Oh no, I'm sorry. I was messing with your brain. R.I.P. Didn't do anything on the Twitch itself. I see. Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. That's okay. You have to do what makes sense to you, you know? I totally get that though. Gotta have what makes sense to you in your feed and in your life, you know? Yeah, we will not. CS2 is a thing of the past. We will play like related games every once in a while. So we'll do like maybe, you know, Stardew Valley, like farming sims, things that kind of focus more on the material that we're learning. So if we can find things that have to do with like canning or labeling or kind of the workflow of canning, things like that, you know, like for an example, or bread making or whatever like little adventures we journey into. So we're going to try and keep things on par with what we're doing. Thank you so much, Simon, for posting that. Again, I really appreciate that. Maybe I should pin this. I'm going to pin this. Yeah, we're pinning that just in case anybody else would like to reference that latest post. This is our new life, our new series. All of the good stuff. I would be on camera, but my camera is, I don't know. I'm not going to say broken because it's functioning, but I can't get it to work in OBS. So, yeah, maybe next week, hopefully next week, you will see my smiling face here as well. But for now, you will eventually see the presentation I'm going to show and then my puppies. That's the trade-off. You can see some furry friends, but just not this one. Not this one. You liked it. It was fun as hell. Okay. It looked real good to me. It looks worth it. It looks like honestly a good one to see in a theater, in my opinion. Like Ready or Not looks like a good one to see in theater. It would be, I'm sure, great at home, but it just looks like a good one to get the full effects, you know? Does Simon how much Sarah from Hocus Pocus show up? I freaking love her. It's called Ready or Not. Here I come. I feel like it'll be a missed opportunity if they don't call potential third one. Yeah, Ready or Not, Ollie Ollie Oxen 3. Honestly, that would be amazing though. Oh my god, I freaking love Hocus Pocus. Definitely more of a true horror guy than it. And Hocus Pocus, I don't even think can count as a family horror because there's really nothing. I mean, it's kind of scary maybe for like teeny kids. Yeah, maybe that is a family horror. Or is that just like a children's horror? I don't know, but regardless, yeah, I totally get what you mean. It's definitely not your lane of horror movies. Holy moly, I had to cough. Ooh. But yeah, anyway, Hocus Pocus is my jam. It's my favorite. I grew up loving that. And just so you know, the Hocus Pocus house exists in Oregon, where I'm moving, as well as the Goonies house. So you already know that you and I, that you, my friends, and me as the person I am, will be taking some journeys over there and exploring. Like, how fun would that be to do a little like stream to the Hocus Pocus house, or like, you know what I mean? Like, yes, I'm saying we're just out here living and we are gonna do it. We're gonna do it. We're living well. Yes, we are. Yup. Hi, Tadlink. How are you? Oh my goodness. Goodness gracious. Whether you guys are here with us live on Twitch or Kick or YouTube, or maybe you're catching this as a replay if you're in the future, I'm glad that you guys are here with us. We have 3 different chats going, so if y'all are wondering what's happening, you should be able to see the Twitch chats on the screen. That's where we evolved from. Twitch is our home. Don't worry though, we're making second and third home bases in YouTube and Kick. So anyways, if you guys are wondering what I'm talking about, most likely I'm talking to people in the Twitch chat, because that's one with the most people in it right now. So yeah, just an FYI, and that's also what you'll likely see in the replay as well on the screen. So anyways, my goodness, I'm so glad that you guys were here with me. We had some fun maybe like a month ago. Actually, it was basically the beginning of March, but I won't tell if you don't. It was a while ago when we started the first canning series, just learning about the very basics of it, and I kind of just introduced what this new platform is, what this new artistic journey is for me, where we're going, what we're focusing on. Definitely more of the sustainability, definitely trying to be more self-reliable, a little bit less dependent on stores, a little bit less dependent on systems, and a little bit more self-sufficient, having more of our own say in what we do and don't control. If you want to give everything to the systems, that's absolutely fucking fine. But it's also wonderful to be able to know, like, ooh, I know what goes into that stuff, and probably these ingredients shouldn't be there. Or like, oh, that's super simple. If I get a surplus of, I don't know, fucking cucumbers, now I know how to can them. Something like that, for example. Obviously, we'll be doing way more than canning things, but canning is the current focus, because food preservation, I think, is the most important building block to everything that we are going to do, really, especially in this community, but I think in life. If you don't really know how to properly preserve a lot of food, it's hard to keep it around, right? You can only keep around so much, and if you only have so much space, you can only keep certain types of preserved foods around. So yeah, anyways, we are going to be doing all sorts of things, but preservation is kind of the beginning of that. That is where we are starting and where we're dropping into. I think preservation also, like, really for me is one of the more daunting things, because canning is a lot. There's a lot of steps to it, but once we break it all down, it's not so scary. And getting kind of the cliff notes of things and not having to like take it on all at once, I think is very helpful. So we had our Canning 101 series part 1 in our last stream, and then this is our part 2. We'll probably have at least 4 to 6 parts, so don't feel intimidated. We're definitely gonna go more of like a step-by-step vibe on this. We're not taking the whole elephant at once, just little pieces, little parts. And yeah, that's kind of the intro. We'll do a little bit of a overview of things, but that is what you can expect. That's what we'll be focusing on for this stream. I see a chocolate fountain, let alone the idea of multiple chocolate fountains in chat, and I think that's a great idea. I freaking love that. Thank you, Simon. That's an excellent command edit. Thank you. There's so many things like that I haven't even thought about yet that need to be so edited for things this way. Oh my goodness. Anyways. Adding Scream Queens and Catherine Newton and Sarah Michelle Gellar. I love them, yeah. Test is loaded. I love them already, so I know I would love it. Hey, you guys. Why did I already read it in that voice? Oh no. Oh. Honestly, being a duck would be the best. Okay, maybe not the best life, but it would, depending on where you live, could be the chillest life. You just get to float around, be chill in the water. I'm a water-like creature. Pittsburgh has a lot of huge horror classic locations. Yeah, oh my gosh, it really does. It really has a ton of them, and obviously Massachusetts as well has a ton of them, which you're way closer to that than me, and I'm super jealous. I would go there all the time if I could, specifically Salem. Hey, you guys. My God, that's all I'm going to think of now instead of all the cuteness in the Goonies. My God. That's right, George Romero's films. Yeah. Silence of the Lambs. I remember you talking about this too. Wait, we talked about some of this. I'm having some deja vu. grabbing liquid death and moving to laptop. That sounds wonderful. Uh-oh, plotting. I freaking love it. The dragon language. Oh no. Honestly though, if you have watched The Goonies rather, and you don't think of, hey, you guys, like, did you really watch it? I don't know. That guy gave me nightmares though as a kid. Holy cow. I couldn't get through that movie like for a long, long time. And then now it's my favorite, of course. One of my like classic favorites. Okay. All right, guys. Glad I got to chit chat and catch up with y'all a little bit. Thank you for being here. My goodness, this is so exciting having this transition. Just, artistically, a new direction, a new creative direction for me. But also I think a direction that really coincides with so many of us, and maybe you're already an expert. And so all of this will be great refreshers, or really maybe you'll learn new things even, or it'll be a great place for you to share your knowledge. Or perhaps, like many of us, you don't know any of this shit, and this is the first time you are seeing anything like it. I feel like that probably is the case for many of us. So yeah, we are gonna, we're gonna learn it together. We don't have to be overwhelmed because there's so many things to learn. But if you're like me, I'm 30 something, past 35 now. And I didn't learn a lot of this shit as a kid. Like, I really didn't. I had some general guidance on how to keep like a household, how to kind of be a little bit independent as far as like learning how to, cook, maybe a little past basic, and learning how to bake a little past basic, cut more on my own than anything. But I didn't learn the basics of like even pickling or canning, exactly what we're learning now, or like really, more complex bread making, or pasta making even, which isn't that complex, honestly. We're going to learn a lot about that stuff. It's super fun. But like just, things that really, it's very helpful to know, especially in times where if you need to pinch the dollar, for example, which I feel like a lot of people can relate to right now. Or for example, if you need to maybe not rely on the stores right now because things are a little bit crazy. I'm not saying like right now in time, but just in general, the things that you don't really think about, like, oh crap, they're all out of bread. Like, now do I know how to make any? No, I don't. And not that you can't learn it from a recipe, right? But it's just nice to have all of this type of knowledge and just prepare your arsenal for when you need to use it, I feel like. So yeah. Yes. Oh my gosh, Simon. So true. Life skills should be taught in schools. Like, I get that some schools have home economics, and I think in more rural areas, they focus like a little bit more on like learning about like gardening and things like that, like the very, very basics, but it's so few and far between, and nobody really knows what the hell they're doing. We all have to learn it anyways, right? But like, they don't include that stuff. And I really think as much as things like, algebra, like you're saying, it hasn't helped you in your current journey. Imagine that. Me either. But as much as things like algebra, or like, I don't know, electives and history truly do help. I mean, there's things that we probably don't realize that help us in other ways, right, throughout life. It would be really fucking helpful to learn, like, I don't know, how to manage a pantry, how to understand what you actually have at home and can use, and don't have to maybe even go to the store for it anymore at all, because it's so easy to just like grow this little seed, perhaps. I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there, but there's just so many little shortcuts and little like helpful tips that I think we should have been taught as kids that we were not. Like, there really should be more. But yeah, right? That's so true. Don't know how to do my taxes, but I sure as fuck remember the Pythagorean theory. It's so true. Same. English and history are my favorite as well. Yeah, I feel like we could learn a lot more just basic things as humans. That's the truth. Like, I genuinely don't think it would be so difficult for us to just have like, I don't know, instead of a full class of something, or like a full whatever, maybe we have a little section of like common sense skills class, like core skills that are actually core skills. You know what I'm saying? Like teach you things. I can help you with basic, but not Utah, Oregon. I can help you fill out a 1040 though. Oh man, I mean, I guess I can do that, but I don't like it. I don't like doing that. Okay. Anyways, welcome back officially, or welcome if you're first time here or returning, finding us again perhaps. Welcome back to our Canning 101 series. Last time, in part 1, like I was saying, we answered the biggest question first. What is canning? Dun, 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 dun. We covered why food preservation matters historically and today. We covered what canning actually is. We talked about the science behind safe canning, the role that acidity and temperature and time play, the differences between high acid and low acid foods, and why tested recipes are non-negotiable. So that first part, which we'll kind of do like just a teensy little overview of, was not to like, the goal wasn't to can anything or even like really honestly think that far ahead yet. It was really just to give you the basic overview. Canning looks super intimidating, at least to me, and I feel like probably a lot of people. If it doesn't, then that's amazing. I hope you can share some of your like luck or optimism with us. I mean, I'm optimistic, don't get me wrong, but it's also definitely it can be a task, a task until you get into it. Anyways, but it's definitely not like magic, right? It's just controlled food science. So that's what, and safety. So we need to just put it into perspective. So let's put it in that little box. Nothing too wild out there about like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do all these things. And what if I get CBOT and like, oh my, don't worry about those things yet. Okay. We're just, we're just focusing on the very basics. Just to give you a quick little preview, today we'll move into the next step. We'll talk about how canning actually works in practice. We are not going to be like working on recipes or projects or anything yet. Just still, again, focusing on like safety mindset, understanding equipment, and just really like setting ourselves up correctly before we're ever even touching any kind of food, right? So my dog's whining. I don't know if you guys can hear him in the background. I might have to run and let him out really quick, but we'll see. He might let me, I don't know. He might not be so naughty. But anyway, so just to give a little overview, we talked about this last strem that we did, Canning 101, I should say. We talked about, let me pull up my little overview. Does he need to go out or is he fine? All my dogs are like growling, one's barking, whining. Okay. I think we're good now. That distracted me so much. Nothing like having 4 whole dogs, and them barking and whining and not knowing what's happening. I'm like, is someone about to throw up, or I don't know, is someone doing something naughty? So anyhow, oh yeah, quick recap. Okay. So last stream, in our very first one, we talked about the very basics, just what is canning, right? We talked about the fact that for most of human history, food preservation hasn't been optional, right? It was very much a survival of the fittest, and it is truly what separated the survivors from the not survivors, right? The unsurvivors. Refrigeration didn't exist. That didn't even become a thing until relatively recently, right? In like the 1930s and 40s. Before that, families relied on like drying things, salting, fermenting, smoking, and canning, which all of those things are going to be what we end up learning. And I'm super excited about that. But we're currently focusing on canning. Even today, when you think about it, a lot of food supply chains are way more fragile than we realize. I think we're getting a little bit of a peek, a little sneak peek preview of that right now in our current economy. But just in 2020 alone, we saw widespread shortages, right, due to processing plant shutdowns and bottlenecks in distribution centers, all sorts of things, right? Because the systems are centralized. So when one thing happens, aka COVID, for example, things tend to kind of have their flare up, and then they have their mushroom effect, and then they tend to like chill back out. But in the meantime, it's really nice to learn to preserve our own food and to live a little bit more sustainably. Not only that, but we also can reduce some waste, right? Which is really nice. It saves us some money over time. And then it really gives you control over your ingredients, which is something that was my like original desire, I guess my original like pull, if you will, to get into the homesteading type of lifestyle, because I know exactly what I'm doing, know exactly what is going into my home and into my body or my family, whatever, the whole situation. So just all of that really builds competence for us, which is nice, right? So at its core, canning is really just a method of food preservation, keeping it very simple. And it uses heat to destroy microorganisms and enzymes that can cause your food to spoil. And then it seals the food in an airtight container to prevent recontamination. That's literally it, okay? It's very simple. Heat kills what would make you sick, and sealing prevents new contamination. Now, there's obviously times when you don't need heat, which we'll talk about, because you have your pressure sealing and then you have your water bath and all the options. So anyways, that's kind of the general overview of it. And when done correctly, your canned food can be shelf stable for quite a long time. I think the USDA says 1 year, but it's typically longer, but that's kind of their like guideline, is that they're best within a year. So you can keep things for quite a while. And typically I use things like 2 and 3 years past that. So you know, that's if you do it well and you do it correctly, that's how it goes. So there's 3 things that will determine safety when you're canning. That is your acidity, which I was mentioning earlier. That's your pH level of your food, item, product, whatever you're putting in there. Your temperature, and then your time. So harmful bacteria like CBOT, which is Clostridium botulinum. That word makes me laugh. That's what forms spores in canned goods that you can see sometimes if people don't can them correctly, and they can survive boiling temperatures. Okay, that's the crazy part. Some people think, oh, if I boil it, it's fine. Oh my goodness, the hellions are back. So the spores can grow in low oxygen environments in your sealed jars, and if your food isn't acidic enough or heated sufficiently, that's when CBOT can happen, which is that funny word I said. So you are looking for a key number here. Foods with a pH of 4.6 or lower are considered high acid. And again, this is just a quick overview. We went over this in length in the last Canning 101 stream, part 1. So FYI, and that will also be linked in the YouTube description for those who would like to go back and watch that. High acid foods are going to be things like most fruits, acidified tomatoes, pickled products, things like that. Those can safely be processed in a boiling water bath at 212 degrees Fahrenheit or 100 degrees Celsius. Now, your low acid foods, that's going to be things like veggies, meats, beans, soups, stuff like that. Those require pressure canning, which reaches about 240 to 250 degrees Fahrenheit or 116 to 121 Celsius. And those are what's hot enough to destroy botulism spores, because those low acid foods are the ones that you have to hit with heat, right? You either have acid or you have heat. That's how you keep yourself safe. So very basic, but like also you have to make sure you're not veering too far off and doing anything too crazy. Thank you for linking part 1. I appreciate that so much. Thank you, Simon. If you guys look in chat or on the screen, ooh, that's kind of hard to see on the screen. But if you look at one of those places, you can see part 1 as well, right there. Yeah, botulinum, I don't even know. Your parents used to can tomatoes? Oh, I love that. Yeah, my parents did like basic canning. But they did it, I feel like they did it with my grandparents or something, or like other family, because they never did it at home. Like I never saw it. I just saw them like bring home stuff. So maybe they didn't even do it. Maybe they just got it from my family. I don't know. Homestead CPC 464. Oh my God. I don't even know what's happening right there. What does that mean? Started out an Amstrad CPC 464. That sounds so official. Then Commodore 64, then Spectrum 128. It sounds like a different freaking language. Anyways, okay. Definitely fill out plenty American official documents. Oh my God, I bet. Yeah, when you lived here, holy moly, I bet you had to do so much of that kind of stuff, Simon. Yes. Canning is indeed a huge part of sustainability. Yeah, long-lasting supplies and the ability to keep things like, because if you're in a situation ever, not to fearmonger, but if you're ever in a situation where you need to kind of get food whenever you can get it and you get a surplus and you don't want it to go bad, preservation is going to be key for that, because it may be a little while until you find your next surplus, if you know what I mean. Thank you for the hydrate. I appreciate that. Arm guy, make sure you guys all take a little drink break. That's a great idea. Cheers to all you all. I mean, I'm drinking water, but still, whatever. a whole 4 dogs, not 3.5, 4. Oh my God. Otis sometimes has those moments where he runs backwards and wags his head. He literally does. I could not agree more with you. Oh my gosh. Yes, you do need specific jars. And we talked like a titch about that in part 1. But that'll be one of our next parts as well. We'll go into even more details about that. You can use different, kind of different jars, but they all have to be within certain regulatory standards. So we'll talk about all that kind of stuff too, because you can't really just use like any jar that you find off the shelf. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can to an extent, but you can't. They're ancient computers. Got it. Okay. I see. A legacy that stayed with them. Yeah, I guess that makes sense, honestly. Yeah, ketchup expiring it makes sense, but it's so weird. Homemade ketchup lasts a lot longer, supposedly. Not according to the USDA, though. Anyways, back to it. So your safe recipes are always going to be your best bet, and those are tried and true recipes. I really suggest not coming up with your own recipes for canning until you become like an expert. Please just don't. There's so many things that can go wrong, but safe recipes are always tested, and they're backed by laboratory research, which is the biggest part, right? But they're always tested for pH, density, heat penetration, jar size and type, for example, processing times, things like that. So, just learning microbiology and just learning the proven methods of canning instead of inventing them. So anyways, that's kind of the overhead. Now, big picture, just kind of looking over everything that I just said. Your water bath is going to be for high acid foods. Your pressure canner is going to be for your low acid foods, and your high acid foods are going to be things like fruits, at least most of them, properly acidified tomatoes, pickled products, things like that. Your low acid foods are things like vegetables, meats, beans, soups, stuff like that. So that is kind of the basics of what we went over last stream. Again, you can catch that if you would like to, when you would like to. Funny enough, but also oddly, the very first Canning 101 Part 1 is actually on our backup channel. On the @reallyonuh channel, but that's just how the cookie crumbles. That's the backup channel. That's bonus channel. That's for gaming, all of that kind of stuff, and like reruns of gaming. All of that stuff lives there. Anything moving forward as far as actual lifestyle content, experiments, learning segments, things like, you know, exactly what we're doing now. Those types of things will live on this channel. But whenever we're playing games or doing anything that's maybe not so focused on that, like perhaps me doing life with my chickens, I don't know, life around the new town that I'll be living in, stuff like that will probably live on the backup secondary channel. So anyways, FYI to that. These segments are just part of setting ourselves up correctly, you know, before we're ever touching food, which I think is a huge deal. So let's pull up this other, there we go. Okay. Ketchup expires. Yes, we remembered that. Simple stuff. Oh, like your rices, pastas, things like that. Those typically, I mean, if it's uncooked, I mean, you can really store it for like 25 to 30 years, honestly, in some ways. A lot of people say to seal it in like Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, those little like pad things, but like inside food grade buckets. Everyday storage, I just keep mine in like an airtight pest proof container, and I keep it in the pantry. Like, you don't want to have it exposed to sun and things like that. But if it is cooked, that's a little different. That's a different situation. The fun game I play keep. I have that game. But that's like Among Us. Needs more than one person, yeah. That makes sense, honestly. I haven't played it yet. It's just in my library. Okay. So, queso. Ooh, I haven't eaten yet today, chat. Oh my God, that's funny. Okay, so anyways, last time we talked about what canning was. We covered why food preservation matters, like I was saying. We talked about kind of some of the initial basic science behind safe canning. We talked about acidity, temperature, and time. We went over those high acid and low acid foods and why you really should be going with tested recipes all the time. So canning can look a little intimidating, like I keep saying, but it's not. We're gonna move into it and be chill about it. No big deal. Okay. Just today we're gonna learn about the jar workflow. Yes, indeed. We are going to talk about the very basics, how you want to set up your equipment and your setup and habits and things like that. So that is the very, calmest, chillest approach we could take. Don't fret. So, honestly, a lot of people, before we even get into washing, just to kind of give you guys an overview, tend to rush their recipes, which is something that I do, and this is why I'm saying this. But if you prepare yourself correctly, you're totally going to be just fine. The whole thing is not going in unprepared and just trying to rush through it. That has gotten me in some very silly situations that I could have completely avoided altogether. So we're going to learn that together. And then once we learn more and absorb more, right, it's going to become kind of second nature. But canning is really mostly preparation. So before food even enters the picture, right, you need the very basic things. You need like correct equipment. You need correct setup. You need correct habits. And those habits start with basic things like washing, keeping things very clean. This doesn't mean you have to have brand new things. No, not at all. This just means that you need to have a little bit of cleanliness, right? I picked this image because I feel like it's perfect. It kind of shows, yes, this is a lived-in household, but it shows that she is keeping an area that's nice and clean for where she can put everything, and has a section, no dishes already in the sink. There's no like dirt around, like everything's cleaned off around it. So this is really like an ideal, really an ideal situation, right? So, before we even get there though, one thing that I kind of want to drive home, the reason that we're not starting with like food or, you know, like anything else, we're literally just starting with, I don't know what this is, workflow. Yeah, workflow. Because all of our mistakes tend to happen if we just try and jump into things. Okay. So we need our tested recipes. We need our correct processing methods. We need respect for process, timing, all of those types of things. We need to understand why a recipe was made because it was backed by laboratory testing. And we need to understand where to look for those things. Just as a reminder, can I link this? Let me double check. Our official sources for canning are always going to be the NCHFP. Is there like a quick link for this? I don't know if there is. Which is your National Center for Home Food Preservation. And then you also want to reference the USDA's Complete Guide to Home Canning. And then sometimes I also like to reference local university extension offices as well, because those tend to be extremely knowledgeable. So I'll drop these right here in chat as well. These are also in the last stream too, so you should have all that information. Get this one. I thought I had like a shortcut linkages to this, but I do not. Okay. Okay, let me go back to this now. So those are the main bread and butter. Wait, no. Yes, it did. Okay, it just took us to the NCHFP USDA guide, whatever, same thing. It's all basically the same thing. And you just want to make sure you're going through those official ones. USDA is always great, but the NCHFP is like your Bible when you are home canning. So, back here. Okay, so you really want to talk about, hang on, sorry, I needed to just double check something right here. Okay, hold on. I need to change one thing real quick because my view is not working. So give me just a minute, guys. It wants to be very finicky with me over here and I don't like it. Okay, this should fix it. Okay, here we go. Holy cow. It was not letting me do anything. I was like stuck in a little bubble. Okay, we're good now. My goodness. So, as I was saying, our mistakes in canning don't typically happen because we don't follow directions. It's typically because we try to make our own up. Or we maybe don't understand the order of things, or we don't have a good workflow sequence. So, canning is a sequence. Every safe batch of food that you are creating is going to follow the same type of rhythm. You have your first step, which is wash, which we're talking about. Then you have pack. Then you have lid. Then you have seal. Then you have label. So we're just walking through those steps conceptually, just kind of the very basics of it. This means clean jars, as you see here. I mean, they look clean at least, and she's cleaning them. You see clean lids, clean tools, and you should have clean hands, okay? Her hands look soapy. I don't know, maybe. They look wet at least. But for real, right? We're not sterilizing everything like it's a hospital. We're just removing dirt and oils and residue, contaminants, that kind of stuff. Hot soapy water should be enough for most modern canning, right? We're trying to get clean and hot here. Clean and hot. No, we do not want to be like, we don't necessarily even need to run them through the dishwasher on sanitization. Like, you really should be able to just do this at your sink, clean, and have a clean, nice area ready for it. Okay. And then worm jars are also going to prevent thermal shock, which is huge. So you don't have things that are cracking and shattering on you, because that is not a fun situation, and that can happen, and we will absolutely talk more about that. Okay. Yes, I do. I type so fast, like I'm killing the keyword, everybody says. R.I.P. It's so true though. Yeah, set yourself up for success from the start. I feel like it's that way for any recipe, but canning is so much that way. But yeah, workflow is just such an important part of it. Truly. So we're just removing the dirt and oils, the residues, the sebums, the whatever, right? Hot soapy water is enough for most modern canning anyways, when we're processing things, right? As long as we're processing things that exceed 10 minutes, we should be absolutely fine. If we're doing something that's lower, and I don't really know about that yet. The other one that I forgot, hold on. We need to add this in a resource because I forgot about it. This is another one that I really like. Yes. Is it this one? I think it's this. No, that's the actual book for it. Never mind. Ball has a website also that's really helpful, and Ball's like one of the original masonry jar creators. But they have a website as well that's really good for reference. So I'll include that in the description of the YouTube video, and then we'll also include, again, all of these resources on the Patreon as well, so you guys have everything in one area. But yeah, that is kind of the basics. We're just cleaning the jars. We're not sterilizing. This is not a hospital. We're just removing dirt, oils, just barely. Hot soapy water is great. So next comes packaging. This gets a tiny bit more technical, but it's still not anything too wild. Okay, don't worry about it. Packing means placing food into the jar correctly, not stuffing, not like smashing things, not just guessing. You are packing evenly. You are following headspace rules. You're removing air pockets. Eventually, we'll learn as we go on through this series, Canning 101, we'll learn more about raw packing versus hot packing. We'll also learn a bit more about headspace, and we'll learn about how to remove those air pockets and air bubbles correctly. But today I just want us really to understand just the most simple, basic thing, which is that packing is intentional placement. You're just preparing your jar for safe heat movement. Okay. That's really it. You need to make sure that the way that you're packing things is going to allow the heat to disperse evenly, not ball up in one area and maybe explode. These are important things. It's not that crazy or scary, I promise, but you just need to make sure you do it correctly. So the little visual here, if you can kind of see it, shows you raw packing. You're adding very hot canning liquid or water to cover raw food, but you're leaving your headspace, which we'll talk more about headspace on the next slide. But your raw foods, of course, are pilled. You're packing them in tightly, and you're adding that very, very hot canning liquid, water, whatever it is. Sometimes it's broths, etc. If you're hot packing, on the other hand, you can tell the difference here because you have one with just the liquids. See with the food here, this one is the liquid and the food at the same time going in here. So raw foods are boiled 3 to 5 minutes in your saucepan or blancher, and then they're poured into the jars. If that makes sense. So again, we have raw packing, and that's going to be for your uncooked food, kind of your things that you're going to add, either broths or waters or whatever too. There's other things too that I can't think of course. And then you have your hot pack, which are your completely raw foods, where those are boiled, they're cooked on their own essentially, and then they're put into here. You're basically blanching them. You're giving them just a little bit of a cook before you can them or, put them in your jar. And your consistency is going to give you proper processing, which is your key to safe heat movement. And I say safe so that you don't run into any of those crazy stories, right, about that we've seen about canning things blowing up and stuff like that. Like, that's so easy to avoid as long as you just do it correctly. Which sounds so silly to say, but I really promise, as long as we're following these steps and making it simple, which we will, everything will be fine. So next, we place the lid. We've talked a little bit about this, but we didn't go into too much detail of it last stream. So this is where beginners accidentally can sabotage their success. And by that, I mean, I've done this. Before the lid goes on, you have to wipe your rim clean. You have to wipe around the rim of this jar. You can kind of hardly see it because of I'm over here. Here's my mouse. You have to wipe the rim down of this and make sure that there's no like liquid, there's no chips or cracks. Make sure there's no food residue. If there are chips or crack, I'm sorry, but it needs to be retired and you need to use a new jar. Food residue, water, liquid, whatever, just wipe that off. Then your flat lid will go centered on the very top first, and then the band goes on finger tight, not cranked down. That is something that I've struggled with and I've seen many other people struggle with. If you crank it down too tight, you can either one, have an exploding jar, which is terrifying, or you have a jar that doesn't do, like, it won't actually do what it's supposed to do because there's no like room for it to breathe, essentially. Air has to escape during processing. It is very important. So just make sure, you know, that you understand that. I think this is one of the shortest points here, but it is one of the most important. You really need to be careful about how you place it. You don't want to have like a gorilla grip fingertip tight. Okay. You want to have like maybe a more dainty fingertip tight where it's just barely tightened. And we'll go over all this, on a stream, and I'll show you guys in video and all of that as well. So just keep that in the back of your head. Air has to escape during processing. And this is also the same thing for things like sourdoughs and yeast and things of that nature as well. So this is super helpful to learn. So your flat lid goes centered on top, band goes on finger tight, not cranked down. Okay. Now we have our seal, our processing. This is where the good stuff happens. This step is the one everyone pictures when they think of canning, right? The jars, go into the canner and heat does its thing. It's either going to destroy, both of these things. It's going to destroy harmful microorganisms, and it's also going to force all of that air out of the jar. All of that air that you left in when you fingertip tightened it, it's going to do its thing and get all of that out. So as your jars cool down, that vacuum seal forms because you've lightly tightened it, then you've introduced it to that heat, and your vacuum seal happens. You don't create the seal manually or anything like that from your hands or anything around there. Just the process creates the seal. Heat does do its thing. Yeah, you got to be able to undo them. Sheesh. Chat. What are you talking, you wilds? Oh my God. You guys are killing me. Happy Easter, you guys. Are you excited for Easter? Speaking of, oh my gosh. Welcome back to Twitch, by the way, Arm Guy. Not only welcome back here, but welcome back to Twitch. And what perfect timing to start this new journey. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so you heard we're moving to Oregon, getting a little mini farmstead, starting a little garden there. Hopefully one will already be kind of like existing, like the bare bones of it at least. And then we'll just be kind of planting and continuing, but if not, we'll be building the garden as well. And chickens are the big new journey I'm excited about. Stuff and go. Freezing. Oh my God. Yeah, ball mason jars are one of the best. Care has good ones. And then there's, of course, some off brands. A lot of things say it doesn't matter about the brand as long as it's just the neck and like the seal type. So anyways, we'll talk more about that too. But yeah, Ball and Care are always really good ones, I think, as just like a general rule of thumb. They tend to know their stuff. Don't need the encouragement. Yeah, me too. Oh my God. Oh no. He got COVID last week. Dang it. R.I.P. The bacteria gets hot and bothered. That's right. That's right. The bacteria gets hot and bothered. That's a good way to think of it, honestly. Was straining. Bought some Doritos the other weekend in a jar of their spicy dips. See, that was properly canned, Simon. Oh, I love it. Yeah, it should be difficult to open once it's actually done right. Although we'll talk about how you don't have to actually store it with the outside thing. You just store it with this flat lid, which is kind of interesting. You're getting your Easter egg tomorrow. Ooh, what's usually in your Easter egg? Is it just like, is it chocolate? I hope I'm sending your dad the best wishes. I hope he gets better soon. That's the freaking worst. Being sick just is terrible, but COVID, oh, that's awful. That's awful, awful, awful. It's actually next weekend. Okay. So next week. Birthday is also Saturday. Happy freaking birthday. I was going to say, even though you don't care about it, I am so thankful for your birth. I'm so extremely thankful for you. Oh my goodness. That's so cool. How exciting. People in church have birthdays tomorrow. Yeah, tis the season for birthdays. I feel like there's so many spring and summer babies just in the world in general. You know? I feel like there are. Anyways, that's exciting that Easter's this weekend. Orthodox is next. Too bad you're not a divorced kid of both. Then you could celebrate both. Okay, I'm done. I'm cut off. Anyways. So, the magic moment, which is like the ping. Once you've created your vacuum seal, you'll hear the famous ping. So you will press the center of the lid with your finger, thumb, whatever, and you'll listen for that high-pitched ping. And you can also do it when the lid is tapped with a spoon. It will give you that ping. You'll get more of like a... We'll do all these, don't worry, but that's my verbal example. You press it and it goes... You tap it and it goes ping. And then, you'll just kind of see you'll see... concave. Wait, concave is in, right? Which one's the out? Concaved is caved in. What's the outward one? Because it doesn't really demonstrate it in this visual. I was trying to show one that would, and I couldn't find a great one. But there's like, whatever. Freaking puffed out, which is not the right word. That's when you know. Convex. I guess is conclaved a word. We do the tapping or identifying, but musical note. The ping is. Oh my God. Convex. Yeah. So, you want it to be convex when it's fully sealed, and then you want it to be concaved. Wait, no. I said that so backwards because I'm messing up my new words that I just now learned apparently. I hate these words. Yeah, I was going to say a conclave is like, I don't know anymore. Yeah, basically it's an outie and an innie. Thank you, Andrew, for that. Much easier. So it's... Oh, no. You're going to have an innie when it's sealed. Okay, guys? Does that make sense to you? And when it's not sealed, you're going to have an outie. I think John is too. Yeah. It's on Amazon. Yes, Amazon has a really good selection. I've been looking at them as well. I need to get some in like a bulk amount because I really would like to have a whole pantry as much as I can. Anyway, I got so sidetracked. I'm sorry. Anyways, so you don't create your seal manually is the big takeaway, right? Your heat's going to push your air out. The cooling is going to pull the lid down and that vacuum seals it. But it's going to start pushed out and then it goes in. Okay. And then you get your vacuum seal. Your process creates your seal. Next, labeling. This is the big part. It sounds really boring, right? But it's actually food safety. Every jar, every jar should have what it is, the date that it was canned. And then obviously if it has a date that you know it's bad by, or if it's like really a limited shelf life type of item, I can't think of something off the top of my head, but I know there's going to be things that we'll run into. You can also add like a little note about like when it's best by, stuff like that. But date canned is the best. And then if there's any notes about it, definitely include it. I've seen people just write with a Sharpie on here. I've seen people just write with a Sharpie on the glass, which I do not recommend because that comes off. Don't do it. I really wouldn't do it. Or you can use some type of cute little label system here or a label here. You can buy labels that are very cheap. You can use freaking tape. You can use like an envelope type label. Do you know what I'm talking about? You could even just use like I've seen people use the 3x5 index cards taped, or glued. I've seen all sorts of things. Just label your freaking shit, okay? Because like I say here, mystery jars happen and then suddenly you don't know what it is. You don't know when it was made. You don't know how long it's good for. And then you've wasted time. Not only have you wasted money, which time is money too, but you've wasted literal money in food, which is the whole point we're trying to avoid, you know? And that'll just piss you off when you're like, damn it. So just be consistent. Follow your steps. You have your very first step, which is going to be to wash everything. Make sure you clear everything off before that, obviously. Wash your stuff, your area, then you wash your actual equipment. Then you're going to pack all of your stuff, right? Packing it incorrectly, preparing it to be packed incorrectly. Then your third step is you're going to put that dang lid on. You're going to put the flat lid on centered. You're going to put on the band fingertip tight. Then your fourth step is going to be your seal, your processing. That's whether you put it into the canner, whatever the situation is going to be. And as your jars cool, your vacuum seal forms. Next is going to be, last I should say, is going to be your labeling. Make sure you label your shit. And it's also kind of helpful to keep things in a specific area, but of course everyone's home is different. Some are not able to do that, and that's just how that cookie crumbles sometimes. But glass containers, glass jars are typically the most recommended. There are certain items that they say to only do in specific types of jars. Like these wide mouth jars can typically be used for everything, but some recipes will tell you not to use them, or will say if you use them you need to adjust the recipe to X, Y, and Z, or vice versa. So just note that and always check the recipes. Good recipes, lab tested recipes, science backed recipes are always going to give you some type of alternative. If they don't, there's typically options to either like on the canning website to like adjust it, or you can Google it, and of course only get your sources from the trusted, or only get your info, I should say, rather, from the trusted sources. So why all of this stuff matters. The workflow is going to be the same every single time, right? You're going to wash, which includes your area, yourself, all of your stuff. You're going to clear out your whole entire counter, table, whatever the situation is that you're using. Make sure that's all cleared off and ready to go. You're going to get all of your equipment out and in an area. You're going to start packing your ingredients. But in order to do that, of course, you need to prep everything, which we have here. So you're going to prep your ingredients, wash, chop, pre-cook, whatever things you need to do. Then you're going to fill your jars, packing and adding your liquid. You're going to pack correctly because we've learned that you need to. And don't worry, we'll go way more in depth on that stuff. But that's just kind of the basics. And then we need to process our jars. We need to water bath or pressure can them, whatever it's going to be to seal them. That's our next main step. That's our big thing that actually keeps food safe, right? Then we're going to seal them and we are going to store them. And of course, cool them, check them, label them. Don't forget your labeling. Don't do it. Just remember. But yeah, like I said down here, learning this now means you can focus on recipes and not stress about them, which is huge. So before we move on, I just want to show a quick visual example of the flow in action so we can kind of see how the steps are connected. Let me find that. Let me grab this one. I had it saved in my thing, but my like program glitched out, so I can't find it. This should be the correct one. Let me get everything pulled up so you guys can actually see it. We're gonna, I think we should be able to, yeah, overlay it over this one. Health accounting. Is it this one? Is it this one? Can't remember the specific. Okay. Is it this one? I watched like 3 of them. Okay, this one I think is it. Right? University of Georgia? I think. My goodness, this should just be here in my watch history, but what the hell? Maybe I can, if we just start them, I guess we can figure it out, but I swear I had it figured out. That talks about our headspace. Okay, this has got to be the one. Maybe it's, yeah, I think it's this one, guys. I think so. Let's check it out. You'll have to bear with me. Normally this would all be in the same place, but my program decided to just go on its own journey today. That's okay though. I think this might, yeah, this is just about cooling. That doesn't help us. Okay, let's try this other one because I think this might be a little bit more of what we want. Ooh. Let's see. Don't lay a finger on my gavel.
Hello. In the spring, we shared a video on how to ensure there's always enough produce to put aside for those quieter times of the year. I'll pop a link to it down below. One of the questions raised by that video was, what's the best way
I think
to
the bottomists are canners.
Well, in this video, we're going to answer that question and hopefully give you the confidence to try it for yourself.
Ooh, Andy, how did your blood work? Like, is everything okay? I know that's kind of personal. If you don't want to answer, you totally don't have to. I hope everything is okay. Hope everything's good with you. I found television.
Then, as the jar cools, a vacuum seal is created that keeps the contents fresher for longer. This video explores the simplest method of canning, water bath canning.
So up to this point, we've talked through the conceptual workflow, right? Wash, pack, lid, seal, label, just kind of the simple overview. So I want us to actually see those steps happening in real life, which is why we're watching this. And you are not expected to understand every detail yet. I will link this video in the video description so that you guys can watch this as well. On the YouTube replay, I don't think this will have sound. So just FYI, if you want to watch along, then this is a good pausing point to go to this webpage and you can watch along with us with actual volume. But if you're here live with us, then you're hearing it. Oh, wait, I was also going to say, kind of watch out as we're watching this to understand how jars are handled, how rims are wiped, how the lids are placed, and what happens after processing, like when the jars actually seal. So watch the workflow, watch, the clean jars in preparation, be looking for careful filling and packing, be looking for that rim wiping. Be watching for the lid and band placement, processing and cooling and sealing sounds, the ping, all those kind of stuff. So just pay attention to that stuff, all right?
Salsas and tomatoes.
Oh, audio is quiet. Thank you. Audio on this.
Is ensuring a strong seal between the jar and its
I see why. Thank you.
broken serves as an entry point to bacteria and mold.
Let
Loud
me.
hissing sound
I'm
of
gonna do.
opening a jar.
We're gonna go back just a bit, guys, so we can make sure you're hearing.
Canning, or bottling as it's also known, is a fantastic, cost-effective way to store garden produce. This low-tech method of preserving uses heat to kill off any microbes that might spoil the food. Then, as the jar cools, a vacuum seal is created that keeps the contents fresher for longer. This video explores the simplest method of canning, water bath canning, which can be used to can a wide variety of fruits, jams, pickled vegetables, salsas and tomatoes. The secret to successful canning is ensuring a strong seal between the jar and its lid, which if broken serves as an entry point to bacteria and mould. A loud hissing sound on opening a jar indicates a release of pressure from food that's turned bad. Mould, froth, discoloration and bad or unnatural smells are other warning signs. Water bath canning is great for foods with a high acid content, many fruits for instance. Vegetables are naturally low in acid, so must be pickled in a vinegar solution before canning in order to raise the acidity. This reduces any risk of botulism, a rare but serious illness caused by food that hasn't been processed correctly. Please follow.
I was muted. Remember, we were talking about that CBOT. We want to make sure that we avoid that. It's very important. It can happen so easily, so we just want to make sure that we follow the very simple steps to avoid it.
Follow recipes very carefully. To get canning, you will need a large water bath canner or stock pot, a canning rack or towel to keep jars off the bottom of the pot, a jar lifter or canning tongs, and a wide-mouthed funnel. You'll also need a spatula, ladle, some dish towels, and some canning or mason jars with accompanying lids and bands. Begin by cleaning the jars in hot soapy water, then rinse. To fully sterilise the jars, submerge them in water. Bring the water to a boil, then simmer for 10 minutes. Keep the jars
he's
hot until you're ready
thorough.
to fill them.
He wants us to like fully do it. Okay, I'm gonna research this and see how like. I don't remember this in here, so I want to like research and see. Do you have to? I mean, it would probably be a good idea, honestly. Boil jars before canning, but I'm pretty sure we don't have to. I feel like this is like an optional. Just it helps you be extra safe, maybe. Canning rack sounds a bit redundant.
To prevent the glass cracking when the hot ingredients are added. Prepare the lids by soaking them in very hot but not boiling water. The bands need no preparation. If you didn't use your water bath canner or pot to sterilise your jars, get it ready now. Fill halfway with water, put it on the heat and bring the water up to a simmer. You're now ready to retrieve your hot jars and fill them with your chosen recipe. I'm canning the last of this season's beans. To each jar, I'm adding a clove of crushed garlic, a half teaspoon each of chili flakes and dill seeds, and a tablespoon of pickling salt. If you can't find pickling salt, you could use pure sea salt. Next, the jars are packed with clean trimmed beans,
before a boiling hot solution of equal parts water and white or distilled vinegar is poured in, leaving a gap at the top of about 1/4 inch or 1 centimetre. Whatever the recipe, take a moment to release any air bubbles by sliding a spatula between the food and jar. If necessary, top up with a little more of the vinegar solution. Wipe clean the threads of each jar if there's been any splashback. Carefully place the hot lids, then screw on the bands, firmly but not too tightly.
And don't worry, guys, we will go more into everything that he's talking about. This is a little bit more advanced than where we're at right now. This is giving us a good overview for what we're also going to start learning in the part 3. So just a heads up. Don't worry if you're like, this is the first time I'm hearing about these vinegar things and stuff. We will go over all of this.
Position the jars on the canning rack so they aren't touching, then lower the rack into the simmering water, or just place them onto a folded up towel laid at the base of the pot. The jars should lie about 1 inch or 3 centimetres below the surface. If needs be, top up with more water. Turn up the heat to bring the water to a rolling boil, then continue boiling for the time stated in the recipe, in my case 10 minutes. When the time's up, turn off the heat and, after another 5...
Let's see. Okay, wait. What's Simon asking? Why are the bands exempt from prep, or are they done another way? So because they are not going to be, direct, exactly, yes. Because they're not directly touching food. They're on the outside of everything, and they're just used to hold that flat lid down and to help the seal processing. Yep, yeah, that's a perfect way to answer it. Good job, John.
5 minutes has passed, remove the jars from the water and onto a dish towel. Now leave them be for 24 hours as they cool back down to room
That was a great question for everybody, because I'm sure you're not the only one wondering that.
temperature. You may hear the lids pop or ping as the vacuum develops to create the seal.
Pop, pop.
Once cooled, check that the lids have sealed by removing each band in turn, then pressing down on the centre of the lid. There should be no give. If there is, refrigerate the jar and make sure to eat the contents within 2 weeks. Store
Because
the
it did not
successfully
seal.
sealed jars somewhere cool, dry and dark, where they should keep for at least a year.
I did not label
Once you
his.
get the
What is he
hang of it,
thinking?
Canning is a fantastic way of locking in that wonderful taste of summer. Give it a try for yourself, and why not share your creations with friends and loved ones as the perfect
I hope
gift?
we can
Now perhaps
watch rather the original video that I had for it that I can't find. I don't know what happened to it, but it's nice because it really truly just focuses on these core things. But this tutorial that we just watched gave us a good overview of what we just learned, and then also gives us a little bit of a preview for the things that are coming next. So that's not too bad, I must say. Okay, let me get back to where I was. Okay, so if you noticed, definitely, even though he didn't show like every step or every minute of every step, right, you could tell that nothing was like rushed. Everything had a purpose. There was some methodology to things. There was a consistent workflow. He wasn't like washing some things and then packing some stuff and going back and washing. So, you know what I mean? Like you really want to get everything done in its own specific little step. Try not to bleed things into other areas. But yeah, safety really comes from consistent workflow, not necessarily just experience level. Experience for sure helps, but that's why before we ever touch food, we are practicing the workflow itself. So coming up next, in canning part 3, we will talk more about headspace. We'll talk more about air bubbles and getting air bubbles out of the equation, because they're a big deal. If you have air bubbles in, that allows room for what? Bacteria. That's right. We'll talk more about processing times. We'll talk a little bit more about why recipes must be followed, but we've kind of already touched a lot on that. So we'll just circle back on that and then we'll expand from there. So that's where our confidence and all of that good stuff will really start, I think. For me anyways. So before we touch any food, before we're ever canning anything, I want us to do some practice. So I'll be posting some DIY practice exercises so you can learn more about like jar handling, lid placement, workflow rhythm, confidence without having that pressure of getting everything done in the moment, right? Kind of just doing things beforehand. Those practice exercises will be available on Patreon. And let me pull up some overviews so those of you who are not on Patreon can get a little bit of an idea of some of the things that you can also do on your own. Oh, I need to adjust that entire thing. That is a great reminder. So, some of the exercises I think are really good to look into are brainstorming your pantry. So, starting very basic, picking 5 foods from your kitchen that you would like to preserve one day. Guess if those items might be high acid or low acid. Start from the beginning. Identify which preservation method your food might require. So let's talk about all of those different methods. We've got our water bath canning. We've got our pressure canning. We also have freezing, right? We also have dehydrating, and we have fermenting, which is like pickling. And if you're not sure yet, that is totally fine. Let's talk about it. Let's chit chat. If you want to put it in the Discord, you can absolutely do that. If you want to talk about it on the, where's my dog camera going? There we go. If you want to talk about it on the Patreon, you can do that. Whatever. Just think about 5 foods that you're like, I really like these a lot and I want to make sure that I have these around. Like maybe it's beans, maybe it's salsa, maybe it's tomatoes, whatever it's going to be. If you really like corn or spaghetti sauce, things like that. Just kind of think about the 5 things that you would really want to have around. Prefer bonus points if it's water bath canning or pressure canning, because that's what we're currently focusing on. But it's, I think, a fun exercise to just identify the things that you would like to do and then figure out how you need to preserve them. And then identify which materials you might need. So like what kind of equipment you would need, what kind of prep techniques you're going to need, whether that's like as simple as peeling items before, like peeling your carrots or potatoes or something before you're putting them in your canning, right? You're also going to think about your storage space. You're also going to think about your prep space. Some stuff needs, 12 to 24 hours to kind of sit in an area that's undisturbed and untouched and just on its own. So like a back counter or a table, stuff like that. So just kind of think ahead. And then maybe do, for the next thing I was thinking of is like a mini dry run of a jar. So take like your empty jar, a lid and a spoon, and practice like washing, packing, practice the lid, practice sealing, practice labeling, but don't actually do it yet, right? Just practice, kind of go through the motions of like pretend you're preparing your jars for use. So wash your jar, wash your lid. I say wash your band. You don't need to sterilize it, but definitely wash it with hot soapy water, and then handle them by the sides, like rather than touching the rim. So try not to touch anything that's going to touch food with your hands, and then wipe your rim off and then put your lid on. So, pretend you're wiping your jar rim lid with a clean cloth, then place the flat lid in the centered top. Maybe just kind of get your mind and body going through these motions to understand what you're going to be doing and what it feels like. And screw the band on fingertip tight. Make sure it's not snug, not cranked down. Make sure that you're kind of checking these things and trying it out before you have food in it. And you're like, oh crap, did I do that right? Get a little familiar with it. Imagine the jar or whatever has finished processing. Let it kind of sit undisturbed. But if it's cooling, don't tighten it, don't move it around. And then you could even practice things like labeling it, giving it figuring out how you want to label it. You don't necessarily need to do it. I think John had mentioned earlier in chat, and I was like, yes, but I got sidetracked. You could literally just use masking tape on the outside of your jar, right? Nothing Nothing too intimidating, and just be like, this is how I would label it. Or you don't even have to officially do it. Just know that like, okay, yeah, I have these resources available to me. I have masking tape, or I could get some from the dollar store, or I have some duct tape, or whatever the situation is, just kind of think through those types of things. And then another thing that could be really effective is to like maybe sketch your workflow, right? So make like a quick canning station map of like your kitchen, nothing like crazy, just a very basic elementary rudimentary type drawings, and kind of draw, where does your jar start? That would be like by the sink, right? And then think about where does it, and maybe don't even have to draw these things out, and just kind of think of them, but like, where does your jar go next? Draw kind of arrows physically or in your mind showing kind of its journey from being like the clean jar, to getting packed and prepped and all of that stuff, to actually getting processed, to the final stage of being labeled and finished. So you'll definitely want to have like a processed zone where heat happens. You're going to have your stove or your burner, your canner location. All of those things need to be planned ahead. So think about where food would be prepared, like if you need to have a cutting board, if you want to use your counter, your table, if you have like a staging area, just kind of ask yourself like, where would I chop and peel or measure in this area? Think about, yes, that is such a good, I love that. Alton Brown's show Good Eats has taught me almost everything I know, because he wouldn't just say how to do things, but why we do them. Jot down your workflow, make it repeatable. Yes, I love both of these from both of you guys, John and Simon. Like it's so true. Make it repeatable. And then your filling zone, where your jars are going to be like packed and your lids are applied, definitely needs to be clear and free of debris. You want to make sure you're just cleaning off your area. It doesn't need to be crazy clean, right? But just like wipe down your surfaces, make sure there's no like plants touching things, or like dirt or food or whatever it's going to be. Just make it clear. Counters are great to have clear and free of debris. And then also, if you want to maybe towel line your counters as well, so you don't ruin them, or if the heat is going to fuck with your countertops, depending on what different type of material you have, you might want to be wary of stuff like that. You don't want to just put it out on a countertop that's going to be destroyed with heat. So make sure you're thinking of stuff like that. Or if you want to use like a cooling rack, stuff like that. So, and then you want your labeling zone, of course. So just kind of think about stuff like that, where you're going to want to have stuff stored. It's going to be away from traffic, all of that good stuff. And then another thing that I thought was kind of fun to do as like a practice before we're even starting with this stuff, and I think we'll do some of this stuff as well on stream together, but just so you can do this as well and return to these exercises too if you want, but do sort of like an acid guessing game. Kind of sounds trippier than it is, but you'll list like 10 fruits and 10 vegetables, and then guessing based on what we've kind of learned, write H for high acid or low for low acid, and then compare your guesses with the proper sources and kind of see what surprised you. And that way you get familiar with acidity concepts without needing like exact numbers yet. You kind of understand like, okay, I generally know that this is going to be a high acid, or I generally know that, this is a bean, so it's going to be a lower acid, stuff like that. And then another fun thing to do is to plan your first practice batch. So pick one high acid food that you might eventually can, and then write out or jot down kind of like a rough plan. It doesn't need to be anything official. I like the jot down, as Simon said. But just kind of write out, your ingredient, your jar type, your imagined steps that you need to do, whether you're pulling that recipe from a extension university, or you're pulling that from the Ball website, or you're pulling it from, the National Canning website, whatever it is. Just kind of prepare things in one spot, or note mentally, whatever your methodology is. And then that way, you're just kind of building the sequencing and preparation. And then for this will be Patreon exclusive, but I'm going to create a little matching game to match the jar and the canning method to like the food and the ingredients. So be looking for that if you are on Patreon. Speaking of Patreon, we have some fun community perks. Don't worry, you get a lot of the information here on stream. This is the bread and butter, but Patreon really is to give you that extra information and arm you with even more knowledge. So you get printable PDFs on certain tiers. You get things like checklists and guides. You'll get practice worksheets like I'm talking about, bonus learning resources, and then all tiers get the open community forum. Even the free, if you just subscribe for free to Patreon, it still gives you access to the community, so you can chat in the group chat, you can comment on the posts, things like that. So we're learning together as a collective community, right? No one's in this on our own, which I think is important to remember. So yeah, we'll have a lot of things, over the next couple of weeks, to continue on with this canning journey and help really bring things home and not only give us things in the moment to focus on and like help understand things, but to return to as well, for whatever things we need. So you'll have downloadables as well and stuff there. And then don't worry, the free tiers as well will still get roadmaps and kind of overall guides, as well as the weekly harvest, which is the roundup of like our schedule for the week, what we're doing. And that's especially important right now because I am in the middle of moving to another state. I'm literally in the trenches right now of preparing my house here in Utah to sell and working with so many different individuals on the purchasing and selling end, of course, but then also the like relocation efforts. So just know that I am trying my best to keep streams as consistent as possible. I'm going to try no matter what for a weekly stream as much as I can, if not at least 2, but that's kind of the vibe right now. So Patreon again is free to join. It is just a great resource, a great learning tool for the community, a great place for us to all chit chat and talk together as well. So use those resources. They are there for all of us, and that's where we can talk about our successes, our failures, which I expect there to be plenty of those, especially on my end, because that is how we learn. And yeah, next in our canning series, we will talk more about connecting the workflow that we've been talking about the most, right? To real decision making, like in the moment, choosing safe recipes, understanding equipment differences, understanding why we would use things like a vinegar bath and etc., stuff like that. Preparing for our first actual projects. That's kind of the fun stuff ahead. So anyways, we will basically, logically, really, the next steps for us are to choose those safe recipes or identify where we can find the majority of them, understand why those are safe and trusted, and just really actually start canning food. Like I said, this Canning 101 series will probably be a 4 to 6 part series, depending on how well I feel like I'm understanding things, how well the community is understanding things. But I always just feel like more information is better than less information. So yeah, thank you for tuning in, guys. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad that we got to be here and hang together. I'm so glad we finally got to do part freaking 2 of this Canning 101. It has been a hot minute because I got sick, and then I wasn't prepared for it last week when I did it, and then this week has been crazy. So I'm so glad we got to do it. I am a nerd too, though. I am such a nerd for this type of stuff too, John. I'm so glad that you're here with us. And I'm glad that you're enjoying it, Simon. I hope everybody is learning new things with us. And if canning maybe isn't your thing, don't worry. We are going to learn so many other things as far as food preparation. Wow. And we are also going to learn even more things outside of that. This is just the very core of what we're beginning with, so that we understand how to preserve and properly store and properly handle and keep our goodies that we'll learn to make and produce and source and things like that through this series. So thanks for joining us. Thank you for being here. If you haven't already seen all the amazing links that, oh my God, I have so much to edit on my commands. Anyways, if you haven't seen all the amazing links that the wonderful Simon has dropped into the chats, please go check them out. We would love to see you in all the places. Linktree is the best spot for all the things. So make sure you come join me there. Then you can figure out what works best for you. We do have 2 YouTube channels. We have this main channel here, and then we have our backup secondary channel as well. Make sure you check them both out. And again, if you were here with us once before, if you're just tuning back in, if you've been here all along, if you're watching this live with us, if you're watching this as a replay at some point clear in the future, who knows when, I'm so glad that you're here with us. Thank you for being here. You contribute to this community just by being here. And if you actually want to engage further, no pressure, but if you do, drop comments, come to live. I almost said live trees. That's not what we're doing. Come to live streams and just do all the things, right? Come hang out with us. And if you don't want to do any of that and you just want to watch and stand by, that's perfectly okay too. Not going to judge you. Don't care at all. That's what this place is for. You can contribute whatever engagement you would like. If you do want to share your experiences and want to talk to other people about things, comment on the community post on Patreon, comment in the group chat, and everybody can chit chat about the things that we're doing. And of course, you can always comment in the Discord as well, which we would love to have you in those places also. So anyway, come see us, come hang with us. I would love to see you guys more. Thank you for being here. Take good care of yourself. Have a fantastic Easter if you celebrate. But regardless, have a wonderful weekend. And if you're catching this in the future, then who knows what day or time zone it is, but just have a great time zone. Yes, I love that. Great way to wrap it up. No question is a bad question. Don't be afraid to ask. That is such a great way to say it, because I'm going to say and ask some dumb stuff. I am not an expert. We are all learning together. All right, guys, take good care of yourselves. Thank you for being here. Bye.